One of these companies was Microsoft, where I already worked in all these fields around cloud computing, Internet of Things, AI. That prompt engineering is kind of an old topic already, kind of a legacy thing. We have too many meetings, but nobody is really summarizing it. Here you have your use case. Since you use ChatGPT, you lose the capability to basically solve a problem by just thinking about it. Hopefully this will disappear, no apps anymore. Everything is an AI app and we can control it just by our thoughts.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor today to talk to Marcel Tilly today, a professor at the University of Rosenheim for applied sciences, right? And you are working in the very special but also ominous field of artificial intelligence. And today we want to a little bit, I would call it uncover of what AI can do and what it can actually not do. And but to get started, maybe Marcel, who are you in the first place?
Yes, thanks, Josef, for hosting me. My name is Marcel Tilly. As you said already, I'm professor here in the university in Rosenheim. It's a university of applied sciences, which means that we are not doing really fundamental research on all these things. It's more that we apply what others have researched on and see how we can make this happen in most of the time real-world use cases. I'm here professor since 2019, and before I came to Rosenheim, I worked for some companies. One of these was Microsoft, where I already worked in all these fields around cloud computing, Internet of Things, AI, and make all these AI scenarios possible in various scenarios, like I don't know, conversation as we see it in chatbots, or image classification as we see it probably at the end of production lines and all these things. So I gained a lot of experiences in applying AI in real world use cases. And then I came to the university where I basically teach exactly what I have learned in my business life.
This is really cool, really nice background, because I think I've had a lot of podcasts around the fundamental of artificial intelligence, reinforcement learning, deep learning. I have basically had even the founding father of reinforcement learning on my podcast on the other side. And it's really about the technical details, right? But when we use it on a day-to-day basis, for example, transformer models in form of ChatGPT, we don't really have to know as users how these transformer models work. I always like to call it the microwave model of AI, because we use a microwave, but we don't have to know about magnetron physics, for example. We just have two knobs and we use the microwave, right? And the same way people use ChatGPT. But the question really is, Marcel, to you, because you have the business experience, how can we use AI? What is possible and what is not possible today with artificial intelligence?
This is a very open question, right? So when we talk about AI, we probably would have to define what we mean by AI first of all, because, well, in November 2022, when ChatGPT was basically published by OpenAI, this was I would say for the majority of people, kind of the birth of AI, since now it can be used by everybody by just typing in some text into the prompt and getting some very good answer. But before, we also had already decades of AI and AI research, and it's really hard to coin exactly when all this. Well, it's easy to coin when it started because there's a clear date of birth, so to say, of AI, which was 1955, when a small group launched a paper and they wanted to start some work around what they call artificial intelligence, and from there this trend kind of was growing and growing with some so-called AI winter, which basically defines time ranges when AI was not delivering what it was supposed to deliver. And then there was an AI summer on the other side when AI was able to deliver what it was supposed to deliver. So there is a lot of scenarios where we can use AI, as we see right now, like language understanding. We can type a prompt. An AI basically understands exactly what I have prompted there or entered as a text, and then I get a very good answer, which is syntactically, grammatically correct, and it has a good enough meaning or a content, and the result is kind of great. But we have also AI which is able to classify images. Is there a dog or a cat on an image? Like a cat is a very prominent, or cat classifier is a very prominent example in AI research. So we have things where we have generative AI, which is everything around ChatGPT, all the large language models. And we have the discriminative AI, which was kind of before, where we have some data and we can build classifier, detect anomalies on it. What else? We have regression, so predicting on one value what the other value can be, stuff like this. And as you said, like reinforcement learning, just learning by getting rewards for good behavior and getting negative rewards for having bad behavior. So these technologies can be used to enable a lot of scenarios. It can be used for autonomous driving, where we need image object detection on images, and situational awareness, like is there a person on the street and has intention to cross the street or something like this, then the car has to be stopped. We can use it in production environment for quality checks. We can use it in medicine and health for, I don't know, detecting melanomas on your skin, or like scan your CT scans for abnormal regions in the scan, things like this. And in AI, coming back to your questions, what can it not do? So this is the area which can be solved, or at least where is a solvable solution with using AI. On the other side, what can it not do? So whenever I have no data, or a minimum set of data, then it's pretty tricky for AI to come up with a solution. So AI, what we know today, is more or less data hungry. And if we have no data, not good enough data, then it's hard for an AI model to come up with a good result.
I think, Marcel, that was a very good point talking about data, because there's 2 points maybe I want to ask. There's this engineering concept, I would call it garbage in equals garbage out, right? Mm-hmm. So how do I define my input in order to get a great input, which brings us to the topic of prompt engineering, most likely, but then also the topic of where do I get my data from? And how do I define even my first AI use case? But maybe let's start with the topic of prompt engineering, right? Input and output. Why do you think it's so necessary, especially for transformer models, aka ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever you want to name them, to be a very good prompt engineer? And I know there is even jobs out there which are called prompt engineer specifically, because it's really a skill, an art that you need to master in order to tell the AI what to do, right?
Right. Yes. So what we know right now for large language models, you said ChatGPT. Critical thing is entering like the phrase you're looking for, the prompt. So the text, basically what you want to get as a result. But like a prompt in Google, like a search term here in a prompt, you basically type like, can you summarize this text as blah blah blah. Here, the prompt itself, you can give the large language, the model, kind of instructions how it should behave. For example, you can give it a persona. Please behave as a professor at a university because I need some text for a research proposal. Then it influences, by using this input, the output in terms of words which are used, phrases which are used, formulations which are used. So putting it in your prompt you're looking for into the right context, it has dramatic influence on the output. It's not just the prompt engineering. I would love to come back to this prompt engineering, because this is probably, you're right, there were some job posts out there, but the current trend is that prompt engineering is kind of an old topic already, kind of a legacy thing. I read recently an article like there's no, prompt engineers are not, nobody's looking for prompt engineers anymore. Now it's more like context engineers.
Correct.
I'm not sure exactly what the difference between prompt engineer and context engineer is at the end. So the point I want to make is you have to put the right context into your prompt to get a better output. Like the context could be additional information. Please use this information about the current political situation in your result. And this will be considered in addition to what the model already has learned. The same applies to putting the persona. Behave like, as I said, like a professor. Behave like a student of the, I don't know, third semester in computer science, and please apply or reply with your code example on this level, something like this. So this will be taken into account. As you said, garbage in, garbage out. If you put it in the right, if you provide the wrong context, so the result will not be as good as it could be with a good best context.
Mm-hmm. When we get back to the topic of data, we have to define eventually when we come to business, right? Marketing, sales, fulfillment, HR, back office, whatever we are looking at from a business perspective, we have to identify our first AI use case. I always like to talk about the three-step approach: crawl, walk, run. First you crawl, then you walk, then you run. Most people want to fly immediately, so that's probably not going to work. But how, Marcel, would you actually approach a business problem? Would you start with a very tiny niche topic first and then expand slowly, or how would you approach it?
Now here is my typical computer science answer to this. It depends. So recently we had a workshop and we introduced this this concept of the 5 why questions. You should ask 5 times why to dig deeper in the ground of your problem you want to solve. Mm-hmm. In addition, so do I have a good example for this? So in this workshop, this one example was finding information about. Yeah, you're working in a company and you are a new hire, and now you try to find good information. And information retrieval is kind of a challenge. And using, I don't know, ChatGPT or large language model approach for this problem seems to be a good thing. Now the question, why can a new hire not find the right information? How do I set up my Outlook account properly? Why can you not do? Because I cannot find the information. Why can you not find the information? Because we have too many systems out there where information are stored. Why do we have so many informations out there? Because we have several tries and nobody was retrieving the right information and was not easy to use. Why was it not easy to use? Because the user interfaces are totally different to each other. Something like this. So you have a chain of why questions and you try to dig deeper in what is basically the core of the problem. And, mm-hmm. and sitting on this by tailoring down to sub-problems, you can now put it on a list and basically fill in like, for this sub-problem, so there's no common interface. How would you solve it with, let's say, AI? Well, it's a prompt. Yeah. Why is there no one single place? Because so many different, too many different systems. So just use, I don't know, the RAG approach with LLM as one core system, and so on and so forth. So with this tailoring down to sub-problems and having for each sub-problem an answer, it kind of leads you to, looks like a good approach to do something with RAG and large language model with a common interface to solve the problem of information retrievals for new hire in your company. In this way, you could go there. And now coming back to your question, is it like, should we start small and then should grow? I would say yes. This is usually how I tackle such problems. Basically, all of the problems. I know where I want to go, so I know what the kind of North Star is. Then we know that we would like to define kind of a minimal viable product. So what is the thing we want to ship as a version 1, so to say? And then based on this, I would say, see how you would solve it, like a prototype end-to-end solution. Do you have all the different problems solved? Can you solve it? Do you have it technically understood? And have you identified all the right technical problems? And can you change it end to end? You don't have to solve all the different use cases. Just pick one which highlights what you want to do. Let's say, coming back to the example, taking a prompt, use LangChain for the prompt, then enter it, having a vector DB, store your data in there, enrich your context, bringing back to the last question, right? And then retrieving an answer. You don't have to validate that the answer is super correct. You don't have to take care of the chat and the history of the chat. Just see, I can answer, I can take the information, I retrieve what I was looking for, and now we can, based on this, expand it to more and more. This is how I would go for it.
I understood single thing you said, Marcel. However, if the audience is super fresh to AI, the question is, well, this RAG thing, I have no clue what this is actually all about. Like, if I'm an absolute beginner, where would you actually get started identifying an AI business use case? Let's say I'm a marketer, right? I'm a product guy, whatever. I've heard about AI. I've seen all the amazing things that it can do, self-driving cars. You mentioned it earlier in the podcast. How do I actually find my first use case and then pitch it to my boss? Or maybe I'm the boss already. I'm a marketer and I want to use AI for good.
This is how do you find your very, very first use case of AI? So for me, this is how I actually was pitching our AI program for professionals. Is it always helps a bit to understand what your data is. As I said before, data is crucial for AI somehow. So you need to understand where's your data, or it's Sasha Lobo was saying it, like the data streams in your company, know your data, and then you basically from your business understanding, you kind of understand like where are your pain points. Information retrieval, or finding the right information when you are a new hire, or finding, summarizing meeting notes. We always have meetings, and someone articulated, well, we have too many meetings, but nobody is really summarizing it. Yeah, well, here you have your use case. You have your data. Apparently, these are your meetings. And summarizing seems like to be a good idea for an AI. So now the technical question is, how can I just have an AI which is gathering this data? But this is a technical problem. But here you have it already. So see your daily business problems. So people complaining about things, and then you have to ask yourself, like, is there some data? And if there is data, well, probably it's something which I can at least consider as something I would like to solve with AI.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I feel like as human beings, time is our most valuable resource, Marcel, right? And I'm thinking, what if you approach it from the other way? Let's say we have 1 million use cases in mind, like a ton of use cases that we can do. I can solve this with AI. I can solve this with AI. The question is, how do we actually prioritize it in the right order? What's the highest leverage activity that I can work on in AI?
Well, for the business, it's easy. I would say I'm not a business expert. So I'm no more a technical person and not a business expert. But I would guess for a company, you just have to calculate the business value behind it. So what the problem which basically wastes most of your money or can bring most of your money back is the most. Well, this is a good candidate. Let's put it this way. On the other side, what is easy to be solved is the other angle you can look at it. Is it so? If there is a huge business value in terms of money or time, you waste a lot of time in business, in meetings, as I said. You waste a lot of time in meetings. And now the question is, how much do I have to invest in terms of time to solve it? And if this is a good fit, then it's the best case to solve it. If there is a problem which looks like it's easy to be solved, or which it's hard to be solved with AI, and there's no business value in it, well, why should it be a good candidate? Yeah, it's hard, and there's no money to be made out of this case. So this is not a good candidate. The best candidate, I would say. A lot of money is in there, easy to be solved, and then you can make your ranking out of your problems, calculate how much business value is in there, and then probably try to get an understanding how difficult is it to be solved. And the best one is most value and easy to be solved. If there is something in the middle, you definitely have to make. We probably do some tricks like we know in computer science, from project management. Probably you want to do some planning poker or something like this. So people try to estimate how complicated it is. So you get a better understanding here, and then you make your choice on that.
That makes sense. Yeah. Do you feel that a lot of people maybe misuse AI in the sense of, we talked about data, Marcel, you talked about data, whereas you need a fundamental knowledge about your data that's existing, right? The input that I'm typing into which we call the prompt, or maybe context as well. The algorithms are still heavily biased. People are trying to remove bias to some extent, but that's another topic for itself. And then obviously we also have hallucinations, so systems hallucinating, coming up with random ideas or thoughts. When we prompt something into AI, how important do you think the own human intelligence, so not the artificial intelligence, but the natural intelligence, is important? Because I feel people are relying way too much on AI to solve a problem for them. So you cannot even think outside the box, because the training data, or like the large language model, has been trained on tons of data. So basically you get kind of the average of all the training data on Earth. And then you can expect, if you don't have additional intelligence, human intelligence, and put it on top of it, you will also get kind of a bad output, if you know what I mean, roughly.
Yeah. This is funny because this morning I heard, I think it was in the radio actually, that there is a study about this. Like, are we getting, I think the topic was more or less like, are we getting more stupid with AI or something like this? And there's an observation, and I've made an observation here at the university, and it was a statement or kind of a thesis from my side, and I kind of discussed it with my students. So I said, but they use ChatGPT for solving exercises, problems, and so on. Yeah, you cannot avoid it. It's also okay. But I make the statement like, since you use ChatGPT, you kind of lose your capabilities of try to solve or understand, or you lose the capability to basically solve a problem by just thinking about it, or the problem solving skills you lose. Yeah, because if you use ChatGPT, or large language model, so using ChatGPT here as a synonym, right? It gives you an answer, and you take this answer, and it might be a very good answer. Let's say it gives you some code snippet, and the code is working, but probably it does not. And now you have to come up with your problem-solving skills, like, so how I need to debug parts of it. Why is this thing not working? I don't get it really fully in this area of code, and so on and so forth. So this is what I mean by problem-solving skills. So before, you had to kind of understand all the building blocks of the problem, and you had to bring in small pieces of it. Before, we were also finding code snippet on Stack Overflow or something like this, which we copied and will bring into the system. But most of the time, it was not exactly what we were looking for. So we had to think about it. We tried to solve all this configuration. Here's some parameter, which is not exactly what I need. So you still had these capabilities of solving it. And by using with ChatGPT, my observation was, yeah, come on, you guys, you're losing this problem-solving skills. And then this morning I heard exactly this. There is a study claiming, well, we are not getting, so the answer, well, how I started is AI making us more stupid, or is increasing our stupidity, is not entirely true, because by getting some results, we learn about capabilities on looking at the result and as an inspiration and so on and so forth. But, and this was what the study was claiming as well, the skills of solving problems we are losing. And like, what is really true? So my observation, just from some random observation of students, was exactly what they found out in their study. So problem solving skills is probably something which is something we have to take care. So there we're getting more stupid. On the other side, and maybe this is also your observation when you use a tool like ChatGPT, it sometimes helps you to get into some discussion. And this is also how we interact. And this is some kind of new. With Google search, we never did any discussion. It was a search, and then we probably changed our search terms. But here it was like more, can you give me some examples about blah, blah, blah? Can you give me some examples about how I can structure my lecture on, I don't know, embedded AI? Then I'm getting a good answer from ChatGPT, and I can take this and say, sounds good, but can we not modify this part? I would like to have an emphasis on that. This is too small. So you take it as kind of as a teammate you discuss with. And there we gain some new capabilities, because we probably never had a technology which we could use as a teammate kind of. And there we gain some new skills. So on one side we lose some skills, on the other side we gain some skills, which is also what at least was an outcome of this study, which I found very interesting. I never thought about like the good parts of it. Yeah, we gain also some new capabilities by using a ChatGPT system. On the other side we probably pay by losing some other capabilities.
Yeah, we probably very well summarized, Marcel. I think it's exactly the point. Like, we lose kind of the problem-solving skills, but we kind of outsource it to AI systems. I'm wondering, I think if you're a really good prompt engineer, context engineer, whatever, I think if you become smart in that, you actually can leverage AI much better than the competition, because we know this famous sentence, right? Not AI is going to substitute you, but someone using AI will. But then if everybody's on the same level, using the same large language model, the same input, etc., I think if you become really good in knowing how these systems respond to your query, I think this would probably will set you apart in the future. But the thing is, Marcel, we don't actually know what's going to happen. Like, what's the negative side effect of, let's say, our kids or my kids, for example, to use AI in the future? Will they rely too heavily on it?
Wow, this is a good point. So the observation is right now, at least there are some kids. So let's say in the teenage range, they have stopped Googling or using Google for searching the internet. They right now just use ChatGPT to get an answer on problems, and they basically rely on this answer. And we always said, and you also mentioned like hallucination and probably things like this. Can you really trust this answer? I would say the current trend in large language model is the answer will become more and more accurate, and even hallucination, as we have observed, is pretty much reduced to a minimum. And you could even, and this comes back to how you use it, you can even say, well, don't start hallucination or hallucinating things if you are in doubt of your answer. Coming back to context engineer and prompt engineer, if you're in any doubt of an answer, please ask me something before you come up with your own facts. You can enter this, and this also influences your answer. I believe that our kids, the people who are now in the teenage range, they become an expert on using large language models. They probably are much smarter than we are. Mm-hmm. For them, it's like they are let's coin a term for them. We had the digital natives before. At some point, these are more the AI natives. They are used to using large language models, ChatGPT. They will grow up with using it. They get used to putting the right context. They even get used to how this context usage will change from model version to model version. I said prompt engineering was now becoming context engineer or whatever, or prompt, or having the right prompt with some techniques is now more on context. And they will be, for them, it's just natural to put it the right way to get their answer, because they use it much more than probably we do. So I use it every now and then for reformulating something. If I want to have a text, and for an email which I have to send to some officials, or an email which I have to send to, I don't know, some good friends, which has different terms, and I'd like to have it syntactically and grammatically correct, and probably with a bit more fun terms inside, or more formal terms inside. So I'm using it this way, but for them it's super natural too. So actually I know someone who has used ChatGPT to prepare him for his year at school. Can you please give me a good learning plan for mathematics? I'm in the sixth grade, so I need to prepare. I need to learn math. Math exam is in December. Please give me a good plan, what I have to learn and what I should give. Give me some exercises with solutions and so on and so forth. So people in the age of 14 or 13, they are using it exactly in this way already. I think this is pretty smart.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I think which is a good and a bad thing as well is if we talk about vibe coding, right? Like people think they can just take an app such as Lovable. Lovable is just, for everybody who doesn't know it, they can check it out. It's kind of, you prompt the system and it will basically build you an app, anything you want, a dashboard, a KPI dashboard, monitoring, whatever. But then comes the tricky part. If you only do vibe coding, you get the interface, but all the systems behind, like the back end, how the system, like the payment, et cetera, will become very difficult. So then you have to actually start using your brain again and hook up all these systems. So there we are. Like, you get a problem eventually, but once you hit a wall, I think you can use AI again to help you with the problem and to solve it. Last question before I wrap it up, Marcel, is how do you imagine the future of AI to look like for our kids, for the next generation, for good, but also for bad? What's potentially going to happen?
We will have AI in most of our daily life. So today at the university, we discussed like how can we AI combine in robots. And these are not just robots for manufacturing, but also robots for our daily life, meaning for elderly care, for example, and so on and so forth. So this is where we definitely will have AI in most products of our daily life. So it will be more and more common just to use it, and we probably will not see it anymore. We will not probably recognize it anymore. We will just be used to it's there. Yeah, it is just there, and we use it as it is, I don't know, a knife or a spoon or whatever we use in our daily life. This is definitely for sure. And the problem here is, who are the big players at the end? And this is the risky part. So if we take the world as there is US, there is Europe, and then there is probably China. So I'm not sure where we are in Europe here. So we definitely have to catch up things. We have to be more creative and innovative. We talked about startup already before we started the call here. We have to boost in Europe a bit all this to catch up with US and China, I would say. Not to lose track. I don't know. What do I really? So now we are looking for a really great vision. Like, where is AI and how is it used? As I said, in every product. So we will have it in the car. We will have it in our kitchen. in our mobile phone will be even probably maybe our mobile phone will just disappear. We have an interface, a brain interface. Elon Musk is working on it, I think. And
or like the chat, how is it called? The OpenAI device, the small one that you put around your neck.
Yeah, something.
They had this idea, yeah.
Whatever, and then we have just a communication with our brain to all our surroundings, without having an additional device to connect it. So what I want to say is, let's assume we have today our phone, and we talk. I don't know. We configure our oven with an app on the phone. Everything has to have an app, right? Mm-hmm. Is it just our coffee machine? Is it I don't know, our car can even be somehow controlled with an app on the phone, and so on and so forth. So hopefully this will disappear. No apps anymore. Everything is an AI app, and we can control it just by our thoughts. Let's say this as a vision.
As a vision, let's see. It's also a little bit scary, Marcel, if you think about it, because we become way too transparent for the government. But you know,
absolutely, I'm not saying I like it. I just say this can happen, and then I truly share your concerns about transparency and who's owning all this data, and this then it's getting super scary. I don't like it. I hate it, but yeah, this might be something which might
we'll see how it transitions. It's also very tricky how these AI companies do it. They mass adopt it, like basically you enforce mass adoption, democratization, how people call it.
Yeah.
And now what's funny with large language models, it's not the military starts using it first, like with common technology. Right. Military, normal organizations, and then the people. But now with large language models, we have people, organizations, and then the military potentially.
Oh, this is a good point. Yes, absolutely.
This is probably going to be interesting how that will affect the military development, but also organizational adoption of AI. But let's see. Last question to you, Marcel, then we wrap it up, because you also have other appointments today. What is a good study path for AI? Let's say I'm a complete noob, I'm a complete beginner in AI. Where should I get started? What course can I take?
Yeah, okay, I'm biased. And you were talking already about bias in data. This is bias in data is a trend when so you have data on one specific topic compared to other topics in your data. Here my bias is so I'm sitting here in Rosenheim at the university here, and we have this bachelor program on applied AI. I can just advise you to come to Rosenheim. First of all, it's a very wonderful place in the south of Germany, next to the Alps. This is actually the place where people in Germany are coming to make holidays here. So being here at the university is on this side a good place. On the other side, we teach applied artificial intelligence. This would be one way. But for others in the world, so it's actually taught in English. It's for international students, so you could come. But nice. Other places are also like there are a lot of videos on YouTube, for example, talking about how large language models work, how prompt engineering works, and so on and so forth. This is probably a good start. Other online platforms is also a good start to get informed about it. It's also a good start, I think, to consume a lot of these, like your podcast or other podcasts on these topics. I think there is so much material which you can just consume, start high level, and then if you're interested in something specific, dive deeper. So in the first place, you don't have to understand how the attention models is the AI mechanism behind large language models really works, like what are keys, values, and queries. You don't have to know. Just talk about prompts, and then if you want to dive deeper, find your next topic on these things. What you also could try is just use large language models like ChatGPT to get informed. Just start prompting. So ChatGPT, tell me something about how AI works, and then there comes I bet a very good answer. Tell me something about the history of AI. Tell me something about supervised, unsupervised reinforcement learning, and so on and so forth. So using ChatGPT to be informed about AI in general, and then you can dive deeper into topics. So probably this would be another good advice, to use what we have extracted as knowledge in large language models to teach yourself about large language models.
Excellent advice, Marcel. Thank you so much. And if people want to learn more about you, I'll put every relevant information about you and your research down in the description so people can check it out. And who knows, maybe we'll have a second part in the future. Thanks a lot, Marcel.
Thanks for your time and thanks for the invitation.